It's almost Christmas. Are you dreading, let's be honest, are you dreading the time you're going to be spending with your extended family, relatives, cousins, and, you know, the whole lot, right? For the next few days or however many days you do spend with the others, right? For Christmas festivities and holidays. So if that's how you're feeling, this video is for you. So I want to share with you my own tips and based on my own experience of how I managed to get better at not just Christmas. In fact, yeah, it's irrelevant really whether it's Christmas, although that's a big one, but just any essentially gathering where there are so many people and people that are not my choice, right? Not one's choice, because we don't choose. Well, this is actually going to be a piece. We don't choose, we think we don't choose, or we live our life as if we didn't choose our parents necessarily, or our whatever siblings and all that stuff, right? And relatives, etc., etc. So based on that is what I mean. It's like those are people that we think we didn't choose and we wouldn't want to be friends with and we wouldn't want to go out with, but we have to now spend 2, 3, 4, 5, however many days, even if it's just one day, but one long big day with all the food and all the dynamics and dysfunction that all families in this world have, right? And yes, I mean, I know from my own particular past experience, also, you know, other people's, that this is the time that, you know, so much anxiety, dread is actually, like, so much mental health is at risk, you know, during this time, because people just like go crazy with stress and anxiety and anticipation, and then during the time, you know, upset and hurt and all kinds of, you know, stuff comes up and it's hard to deal with and all that. So I want to share, like I say, some of my tips. And I want to start by what I call capital R reality check, to remind us and to remind yourself, as you know, from today and during the time you will be with others in this gathering, right? That we are actually willing participants in our life, in the life that we chose, the parents that we chose, the siblings, and by extension, what they chose, the fact that we are in their lives, if the fact that they're in their lives, rather, like by blood, by relation, by all of that, it's all our choice. It is our choice, but it's it's our choice, and we are willing participants. And it's this will is the capital W will. It's the plutonic will. It's the will that is here to get us through all the experiences, so that we exhaust all these desires to experience what it means to be human in a dysfunctional family, in a particular flavor of your own, my own, right? But that is not the small will, which says, of course I don't want that. Who wants to have a, you know, brother-in-law like that, or a cousin like that, or whatever, right? Like, or, you know, I really don't like, of course I never chose her, I don't, you know, or him, or whatever, right? Well, that's Mars. That's a small will. That's our kind of, that's what our small field of awareness, of consciousness, is telling us. But there is far more to us than that, that is actually very willing to take exactly the life and live exactly the life with all its drama that it's playing out, just the way it is. And we are very willing participants in that. That is the capital reality check from the from that higher perspective of Neptune and Pisces, as opposed to the 3D reality check, which is just like the kind of Saturnian, you know, measurable, quantifiable life that we think is all there is to life, or, you know, part of us thinks that. So when we kind of zoom out big and wide enough, we can see that all of this is just a drama that's playing out on the plane of Earth, as per our choices. Every single one of them is our choice, conscious or unconscious. There is a difference, and that's the Pluto piece. And I have recorded a couple of videos on that subject, so please have a look if you want to kind of delve more into the astrology of it. But the summary, the kind of real, the life piece wisdom there is that we are, it's supported by astrology, but what's supported is this fact that we are willing participants in the very life that we're living, however dramatic and dysfunctional it is. And that's extra amplified during Christmas season, or any kind of family gatherings, right? But I think Christmas season in particular, maybe because we are fed this picture of so happy families with all the, you know, the marketing through all the, cards and presents and all that stuff, but also films that I watched, for Christmas. Family kind of films are all about the happiest, sweetest families that none of us actually have. None of us have, So that kind of makes it worse, I think. All the other gatherings, at least we are free of that crap. Okay, so the big reality, the capital R reality check. We need to remember that we are willing participants, because we are. And that's just the Pluto story of our incarnation. For as long as we keep reincarnating, we are willing. We want to be incarnating and living the exact drama that we're living. The second piece is acceptance piece. Now because we have kind of accepted that we are willing participant, we now want to accept all that means, all that comes. What are those details of that participation? And to accept it and to be okay with it, to let it be. Let it be in... Obviously, it's great to practice that first on your own, and I would also highly advise that. But if you're listening to this while you're in the middle of it all, then nothing is wrong in my books. We have to find compassion for everything, if that's our salvation. I mean, it's a bit of a religious term for me, but still, compassion for ourselves and for others. So no matter how much you slipped and you've been, you felt horrible, you think you were horrible to someone or whatever, right? Just find compassion for yourself. Accept it. It's what happened, or what happens, or what's happening. It's a reality. It's insane to argue with what is. We have to first accept it in order to let it out of our system and then be free of it. So just remember, accepting every moment as it comes, even though that's going to be hard and you won't be able to do it on, moment by moment. But if you happen to do it 3 times in one day, you've done great. You have still reduced, because that moment of acceptance will always diffuse the tensions, will ground you, and will just kind of deplete all that was just ramping you up, right? Now, choose what role you want to play, because this whole thing is a drama that's playing out, meaning life on Earth, basically, not just Christmas gathering in one's home. I mean life on Earth. And I don't want to obviously make any comments and to sound lighthearted about the world events and all that. Absolutely not. But I'm just only speaking of the personal, individual, as that's my interest and my ability, that's what I'm designed for. I'm pure individual circuitry. Anyway, so I'm not into collective stuff. I don't vibe with it, meaning I don't have, it's just like not where I'm going ever in my interest and my energies. So that aside, I'm referring to the drama of our lives, individual lives, private lives, and family lives. And so I think when I spoke of astrology on not many occasions, I would say that how our chart is our map, but it's also the stage that we play our life out. And all these different planets are different characters we play and different roles we play in different circumstances. So by that same rule, approaching the Christmas event, the family gathering, decide what role do you want to play. So think about who you are typically in these gatherings. Are you the family agent provocateur, or are you the pacifier? Are you the confidant? Are you the cleaner? Are you the I don't know, whatever you tend to take on as your role during these gatherings. Approach it as you would as if you were an actor, because we all are. That's my point. We're all acting out all that stuff, plutonic and other stuff that we have in our chart. But when I say plutonic, I always want to kind of remind you of how much of the unconscious stuff we are also acting out. And so, like any good actor, approach that role that you decided you are, and then you decided you actually want to take on, and then if you need to, maybe even watch YouTube videos how to act well, how to act to character, how to play a character well, or something like that. Google it, as in YouTube it, search it on YouTube. But you will find that actually finding love and compassion for the character you're playing as an actor is what makes you a good actor, or what makes good acting, right? So approach it like that, like an actor would their script, and study the character, study that person you are, and find compassion, and then just really let yourself be. So again, the capital R reality check is always about acceptance that this is what it is, and it's actually what we want, right? Like the willingness piece that I said. So approach it like that, just remembering that, and the acceptance that you practice as a kind of almost like stretching the muscle of acting. Now you're actually on the stage of that drama of the Christmas event, or the days, of Christmas festivities, and now play it with your heart out, like really go to town with it. But because you studied it with like a good actor would approach studying for their role, you have brought compassion and depth to that character, to that role, and you will find that actually there is that you are enjoying yourself, whether it's a bad self or a good self, more, and therefore you are more satisfied, but also you are the others are enjoying you more, and so, but remember, it's a sitcom, or it's the drama, right? So the enjoyment is not about if you think of sitcom Friends, right? So it's all pretty light-hearted there, so it doesn't have to be light-hearted. I can't think of any other sitcom. Ozark. It's not a sitcom, I know, but it's really funny, and it's dark obviously I hope No One's Christmas is like that, of course, but I can't think of other dark comedies. I'm sure there are many out there, can't think of any at the moment. But yeah, my point is, like, when someone's really playing coming from that place of understanding and compassion of themselves, even if they're agent provocateur, even if they are the gossip, or even if they are something, they bring, there is goodness in that, basically. And so we are ultimately feeding the audience or the participants, other participants, with some goodness, right? So remember that. And then if you want to choose, to amplify your role, if you want to really go to town with your role, when you decide what your role is. The other way you can approach the time, while you're with others, is to be the observer. So you kind of don't take on a role, any particular role. It's almost like a director role. So to stay with the whole metaphor of theatre play, right, and the drama that's unfolding. And so as a director, you kind of want to approach it as almost like a strategist. So the pain points, what's going to be happening, who does what, because it's like every year is the same, right? And whatever your role in all of that is, you'll know that as well. And then, but because you're kind of being a director, you are trying to sort of maneuver yourself around the days that you're spending in that setup, in a way that is going to kind of get you the least of what you don't want and the most of what you want, right? So you're being very strategic and being obvious to others maybe about it, but you don't worry about it. Or you're taking more like, how the director actually sits in the chair and the acting and everything is happening. Obviously, he's not taking part, totally not taking part. So you're more like just taking yourself out of the storyline. But your role as a director is that you're observing. So you're never outside of it, because that would either draw attention to you and create a different kind of dysfunction. So unless you want to do that, obviously that's something else, which I'm not particularly, I don't know, I haven't done. So this is not part of my tip, but it's more about just like actually not even maneuvering yourself, but just, it's kind of allowing yourself to allowing for everything to be. So that's throughout, because you're accepting every time. You're not here to change. Even if you're changing, you're strategically moving yourself. You can only change yourself, right, throughout the days. The first kind of example of being a director is one way. you are still not changing anything ever externally, because you can't, and that's where the biggest problems arise. You're still accepting of what's externally, but you're maneuvering yourself around it in a way that suits you best. So be strategic about it. And then, but if you, like I say, if you want to even kind of, I don't know if it's better or it's certainly different. It's kind of well, I've done them certainly both, absolutely. But maybe I now prefer to be this observer, like I'm watching a sitcom, and I am obviously, engaging, but I'm not being strategic. I'm just so relaxed and removed emotionally in a way, and meaning it's like I don't care that they're, I don't care that they're upsetting each other, that they're arguing. I'm not feeling upset for it. I wish they didn't, obviously I don't mean to be callous, but I just mean like I'm not invested like I would have been in another lifetime or another year or whatever. And so I'm just like literally taking that, and it is my favorite at the moment. It's like just observing everything as if I'm like on a live set of a sitcom or a dark comedy. And I'm like, oh my God, look what's happening there. Wow. And I'm not saying that to them, right? Because that would just exacerbate and just, inflame the situation, which I'm not interested in. And I highly advise against inflaming others. But it's like, it's giving me that sense of director, observer, that I'm just, a sense of control only in the sense of my position in relation to it. Yeah. So that's the control piece. It's like, I'm choosing to be on the outside. I'm not taking part as much as that's possible, right? And even when I'm taking part, I'm remembering to be accepting, the willingness to participate, the reality check. And I'm also like, ultimately the role I chose is to be the observer and to kind of be pulled out and pulled back, detached somewhat. So even when I'm engaging and pulled into situations, I'm still maintaining some form of detachment and observing myself. Look at me responding like this. Look at me engaging like this. So I'm still removed. So I'm still like a director, not being the actor, right? That's the kind of why I'm using the director as a metaphor, because it's like there's a sense of detachment. And so play with all of it, obviously. I mean, I literally have done all of them, all 3 or 4, I don't know in numbers how many. I've played with all of this, and it works. It really does. I mean, I think probably we all have done the strategic piece. I don't think amplifying, like really approaching it like as an actor, really going for the role, do your role thoroughly and fully. I don't think I don't think we have done that. I think that's maybe not a typical advice you'd hear anywhere. But this other one, to be detached, is also possibly something that we have maybe tried. But I do think all 3 are just wonderful and work wonders in the sense that they don't, like I say, add to the situation than they would normally. So they're not creating anything worse than it already is. But in different degrees, varying degrees, they're kind of reducing it. But ultimately, for you, throughout all of it, you are having fun. You actually are having fun, and you're a willing participant, and that's part of the fun. And the final piece I just want to say, which is not, which is just like a tool. So I find Eckhart Tolle, I might link one of his videos, find kind of relevant below, but otherwise just Google him or YouTube him, who's just the way he speaks, because he's like, if you ask me, he's a living Buddha, of our times. Just being in the presence of his energy is very soothing and calming. And so I would have him either buy a audiobook or just watch his YouTube videos every night in that house, wherever you're spending your Christmas with the rest of the family, in the run up to it, afterwards. It's a way of like an add-on soothing, because he keeps talking about that, this detachment and the separation between the truth of who we really are, the divine consciousness that's in all of us, that we actually very much have access to. We just don't know how, and it's not easy and whatever, and then why it's not easy. And it's basically full of compassion, without platitudes, without something so real about his teachings. Like, they're really grounded. They're really like I said, they're not platitudes. You know how sometimes the spiritual teachers can be just love and light, and it's no, it's very real. It's like try them if you haven't already, and if you don't like them already, yeah, like I say, if you haven't try them, and I feel like I highly recommend him for that reason, because it's no platitudes. It speaks the truth that it's real, like you can, it's relevant to your actual existence, your body, your relationships, your 3D life. And he speaks of 3D life, and he speaks of ego in wonderful ways and all that stuff anyway. And it's just so soothing, so like always, it's like having a shower at the end of every day. So that's what I mean, like either watch every night when you go to bed, or every morning before you meet the rest of the family, right? Just kind of as a way of recentering yourself, coming back to yourself, or just being reminded of how this is all just a big theater, big drama unfolding for all of us individually in our private and family lives. And we are actually willing participants in it, and we just need reminding of it, and we need that detachment to practice that detachment. That's not about like, oh, I don't care for you, I don't love you, which I'm sure on a level we all feel for certain at times and for certain individuals, but as a way of just like practicing that. It's a presence that is, and it's energy cultivating. Doing that cultivates a kind of energy that acts as a healing, basically for all, including yourself and starting with yourself. But it also has that effect on everyone else. So you're ultimately doing such good work for everyone involved, like the best Christmas gift. And on that note, I wish you the most successful, in terms of everything I shared here, for Christmas. And please let me know how it goes, or any other tips you have in the comments below. And I'll see you in a week.